The Pentagon has already war-gamed multiple rapid ground operations scenarios inside Iran, focused on joint forcible entry, where paratroopers drop in, Marines strike from the sea, and special forces disable defenses before the main assault begins. This isn't a news update. This is how a US ground operation in a region like Iran, including Kharg Island and the Strait of Hormuz, would actually be built and executed. But here's the reality. The moment US forces hit the ground in an environment like southern Iran, they face drones, missiles, and heavy resistance almost immediately. Taking a target is one thing. Holding it under attack is a completely different problem. Current deployments point to a force posture optimized for rapid insertion operations, not long-term occupation. But to understand how something like this could unfold around Iran, we need to step back and look at the map. What's deployed, where it's positioned, and how these pieces actually connect. Because once you map it out, a pattern starts to show. Right now, the United States has over 50,000 troops deployed across the Middle East. But what matters isn't just the number, it's how these forces are positioned relative to Iran's southern operational zone. Start with the maritime layer. In the central Persian Gulf, approximately 60 miles south of the Strait of Hormuz, the USS Tripoli Amphibious Ready Group is actively operating. On board, you have around 2,200 Marines from the 31st MEU and roughly 1,300 sailors. The Tripoli itself is acting as a lightning carrier, carrying up to 20 F-35B stealth fighters, with supporting vessels like the USS New Orleans alongside it. Here's what matters. This group is sitting within under 30 minutes flight time of the Iranian coastline. That places it in immediate striking range of Kharg Island and the Strait of Hormuz coastal belt. This isn't defensive positioning. This is launch positioning. Now shift to the airborne layer. The 82nd Airborne Division, specifically elements of the 1st Brigade Combat Team and Division Headquarters under Major General Brandon Tegmeyer, has been deployed into the region as of March 25, 2026. Location officially undisclosed, but clearly within operational reach of southern Iran. These are not random bases, they're optimized launch points for rapid insertion into Iranian territory in a contingency scenario. The unit is currently on what's called an 18-hour tether, meaning they can execute a joint forcible entry mission inside that window. You're looking at roughly 2,000 to 3,000 paratroopers configured as an immediate response force. Now add the missing piece. The USS Gerald R. Ford, one of the most advanced aircraft carriers in the world, is no longer available in the Gulf. It withdrew on March 23rd following multiple mechanical issues and is now docked in Split, Croatia as of March 28th. This creates what planners call a carrier gap in the Gulf. Right now, heavy carrier-based air power is reduced, with only the USS Abraham Lincoln covering the region. That shifts more operational weight onto amphibious forces like the Tripoli in any modeled operation involving Iran. Now, zoom out for a second. Look at the full setup around it. In Kuwait, Camp Arif John is functioning as the primary logistics hub. This is where heavy equipment, armored units, and sustainment operations would flow from in any ground operation model involving Iran. In Bahrain, Naval Support Activity Bahrain, home of the US 5th Fleet, has already reduced mission-critical personnel to under 100, with ships moved out of port. This is a defensive repositioning to avoid vulnerability, signaling anticipation of potential strike scenarios. In the UAE, Al Dhafra Air Base is hosting F-22 Raptors and Global Hawk surveillance drones. That provides persistent ISR, intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance, coverage over Iranian territory. And in Jordan, Muwafaq Salti Air Base provides strategic depth for airstrike operations, enabling layered attack routes into western Iran if required. Put all of this together, and a pattern starts to show. This isn't random deployment. From how militaries actually plan this, this is a structured force posture that enables potential ground operations in a region like Iran. And based on the way these assets are positioned, it strongly suggests focus on specific geographic objectives. Pentagon planning here isn't about territory, it's about system control. Start with Kharg Island. This is not just an oil terminal. This is Iran's export valve control system. Here's the part most people miss. Kharg isn't just about storage, it's about loading capacity. The island has multiple single-point mooring, SPM, buoys offshore that allow supertankers to load crude directly without docking. That means even if you bomb the island, oil can still flow. And that's exactly what happened. After the March 13th strikes where over 90 military sites were hit, satellite imagery from March 25th still showed tankers actively loading. So bombing alone doesn't solve the problem. This is why, in an operational model, the objective shifts from destruction to physical seizure. Because if US forces take control of Kharg, even temporarily, they don't just damage Iran's economy. They gain the ability to regulate exports in real time. That's not just a strike. That's economic throttling. Then shift to the Strait of Hormuz coastal belt. Forget the usual global oil choke point narrative. From a military perspective, this region is an A2AD kill zone. Iran has spent decades building a layered defense network here. Mobile anti-ship missile systems like Noor and Qadr, radar stations tied into the Iranian IADS, fast attack swarm boats, and pre-positioned naval mines. But this is where it changes. These systems are not static. They're designed to shoot, relocate, and disappear, which means airstrikes alone can't fully neutralize them. So, in a real operational breakdown, the objective here isn't just securing waterways. It's executing hunter-killer ground operations. Find the launchers, track movement corridors, and eliminate the network at the source. Because as long as even a few of these systems survive, the strait remains contested. And finally, the coastal strike grid. This is where things get more technical. Iran's coastal defense is built around a distributed fire network. Small, mobile missile units linked through radar and command nodes spread across the coastline. This creates overlapping engagement zones where ships entering the Gulf can be targeted from multiple directions. This is where it gets serious. The Pentagon doesn't need to destroy every launcher. They need to break the network linkages, take out radar nodes, disrupt command and control, and force the system into fragmentation. Once that happens, Iran's A2/AD capability shifts from a coordinated network into isolated units. And isolated units are much easier to deal with. Now combine all three zones, and the objective becomes clear. This isn't about invasion, it's about control, specifically escalation dominance in a US-Iran conflict scenario. The goal is to remove Iran's ability to threaten shipping, sustain oil exports under pressure, and coordinate coastal defense at scale. Now, there's one more development that adds another layer to this. A widespread blackout reported across Tehran and surrounding areas. We don't have confirmed details on what caused it, but from a systems perspective, disruptions like this can impact radar networks, communication nodes, and air defense coordination. So you have to ask, is Kharg Island the real operational focus, or is it a visible distraction inside a larger operational design? And is Tehran itself part of a different targeting logic? We don't have confirmation, but the pattern fits how modern operations are designed. Confuse the opponent, shift attention, strike where least expected. What do you think? Coincidence or preparation? Comment below. Now, coming back to the ground operation model, how would something like this actually be executed? This is what military planners call raid warfare. As retired General Frank McKenzie put it, these are operations where you don't stay. You go in, achieve the objective, and get out. It's a get in, get out model. Timelines are short, weeks, not months, possibly a couple of months at most. No occupation, just precise, targeted outcomes. Now let's break down the forces that would actually carry this out. First, the 31st Marine Expeditionary Unit in USS Tripoli. This is your rapid amphibious assault force. The Tripoli operates as a lightning carrier, capable of deploying F-35B stealth fighters without needing a full carrier group. The MEU can insert troops directly onto objectives using Ospreys and heavy-lift helicopters, bypassing traditional defenses. They specialize in operations like seizing offshore platforms and executing island-based missions like Kharg. Second, the 82nd Airborne Division. These are your rapid insertion troops. They specialize in joint forcible entry, parachuting directly into contested zones. Their primary role would be to seize airfields and open access for follow-on forces. Once an airstrip is secured, heavy transport aircraft can bring in reinforcements. Third, Special Operations Forces. These are your precision units. They go in first. They eliminate high-value targets. They disable defenses. They prepare the battlefield. This includes underwater operations, stealth insertions, and direct action raids in coastal environments. Fourth, Conventional Infantry. These are your holding forces. They secure the area after initial capture. They conduct clearance operations, and they focus on locating and destroying mobile missile systems along the Iranian coastline. Now I want your assessment. Looking at this as an actual operation, does this feel like a setup for real execution or strategic pressure without intent to strike? Let me know in the comments. And if you want more breakdowns like this, real military analysis, real-world operational design, make sure you subscribe.